responsibility is, as a commercial entity, we are giving the loan to the private companies, and there are other two organizations: International Center for Resettlement and Investment Dispute, and MIGA, Mutual Investment Guarantee Agencies, and all together we have 5 organizations. In terms of IFC, it has been founded on 1956, and we have invested first investment in Siemens company. So this is because in terms of IFC, we are triple A rating credit financial institutions across the globe, and then we do have we have largest financial institution across the globe. So we are investing a lot of companies across the globe. We are focusing on private sectors only. So also we do loans, equity, trade finance, syndications, blended finance. We have invested across different tools, so that we are different than the commercial organizations, because commercial banks, they are investing on in terms of the debt financing, but we do all the financing, all the financings. We do have a loans, equity, because we are also developing the projects from the private companies as an equity holder as well. So this is from that organization. So I'm working in an infrastructure team, Asia, as a hydro focal person in the upstream space. So my role is basically develop different projects across the different countries, basically for the hydro developments. So I'll toss upon the contract management. Contract management, people always feel that it is a fight between between contractor as well as owner. So it is not the fight, because because every time there is a tendency that contractor will take a lot of advantage from the owner side. Also, owner is also very very keen to get a lot of work without any payments for the contractor side. So if that fight occurs, then a lot of delays in the project implementations. So as a contractor or as an owner in the hydropower projects, we need to understand why there are fights, what are the risks in terms of contract. So always contract need to be very transparent and ethical. And second is, it is not the fight, it is somewhat the teamwork between owner and contractors. So that need to be taken care during the contract management or contract formations during the initial stage, how we will design the contract itself. So it is, people are thinking that contract designing or contract document preparation is somewhat very important. And then if we prepare the very proper contract documents or maybe contract templates, that will enables the very smooth project execution during the project management itself. And so if any contracts we are making, it should be very transparent and ethical, and then also it should have a very clear objective. The clear objective is the smooth implementation of the project itself. So that is some sort of that will be the win-win situation for the contractor as well as owner. So that during the contract we need to have a very shared respect between each other, owner as well as contractors, so that that should be somewhat very respectful for the each other. It is not the fight. People are thinking always there is a dispute, and dispute resolution, there are a lot of adjudications between from the contractors as well as the owner itself. So if we design the proper transparent contracts in any, and then also we need to understand, we need to compensate the work with the work performance. That means I'll go on later on. There are a lot of hidden risks if you are doing the hydro projects, because hydro is a very complex project. It is not somewhat the other constructions sites. It is totally different. It has tunnel, geological risks, hydrological risks, and then also there are a lot of construction challenges during the construction, because the hydro sites are always in a remote places. So that like if something is predicted in the initial state, but like there will be the deferral during the construction, that means we need to compensate the contractor, or owner need to compensate the contractor with the work performance. If anything miss happen in between, then we do not need to stick on the contract itself. We need to also think from the compensation of the work performance of the contractor itself. So it is a two-way communications between owner as well as contractor. So that is the essence of the contract management. If we understand that essence, we can derive any solutions of any problems during the contract itself. No, so that is somewhat. So if any hydro project we are developing, we need to understand the risks. Like what are the risks? Because the nature of work of the hydro is totally different. It is not somewhat it is somewhat doing the construction in the cities areas. It is totally different. It is off-site. It is a remote place. There might be a lot of challenges in terms of communications, in terms of labor management, in terms of skill management, living condition, food. Everything is different. So second one is also people's always mislead about the workmanship and building capacity. Sometimes we are selecting the contractors, but contractor doesn't mean anything. Contractors depend on the workers. So what sort of workers he is mobilizing, and then what is the quality of the workers, we need to understand during the contract preparation itself. So that is some sort of contract management. I will give some of the example later on, like how it has been hampered. So for example, when I was working with the Chilime hydropower projects, particularly there was Chinese worker. These workers were not familiar about very heated conditions, because these peoples come from the very very snowy conditions. So due to the weather condition, they were sick in between the constructions. So that has hampered us 1 month delay of the project itself. No, that sort of also weather condition is pretty important, so that what is the worker capacity or capacity buildings they do with the local peoples as well. And then it is matter of communications as well. If Chinese peoples are coming on, they don't understand the English. So like that sort of also communication strategy also should need to understand during. Also physical environment I already talked about. If somebody is coming from Africa, then he need to work on the near to the mountains. That might be a lot of challenges, because he might be in the desert conditions. So if he is working on the some sort of different physical conditions, it might be very different in terms of work performance itself. So also there is some sort of complex scheduling and interface. For example, we do have a season, wet season, dry season, rainy seasons, so that there is a complex schedules and then interface. For example, civil contractor is heavily interface between electromechanical and hydromechanicals. So that means also there are some sort of interface and complex scenario in terms of hydro. And then also performance and productivity. It depends on the peoples who are working on, and then delivery of the work itself, and then how they are effective during the work. Also, we need to understand as a project management during the project construction or contract preparation itself in the initial stage. Also, health and safety issues. People are not aware about that sort of things, but one accident can delay around 1 month of the project completions. So that sort of health and safety issues, people are thinking that health and safety issues are particularly additional investment, but as per my understanding, it is the some sort of not additional, it is an investment who will give the payback for the owner itself. So also we need to understand that sort of things. Also country risks, it depends on the country, because there are there are some sort of foreign workers are coming to the countries, then there might be some sort of approval required in terms of labor law and other laws. So that the constructions whatever we are thinking in Pakistan might not be applicable to Nepal, or might not be applicable to Laos, or might not be applicable to Myanmar itself. It depends on the different countries, different country risks, because there are security risks, there are the road construction risks, there are road safety risks, there are many risks, and then also financial risks in between also. So that also hydropower site location is very important, project geology, upstream challenges, there are equipment specifications, conditions. If you are ordering the equipments which are best performing in Germany, that might not be performing equally good to Pakistan or maybe Nepal or maybe Sri Lanka and other countries. So that also we need to adapt the specification as per local conditions, as per local the electrical conditions, thermal conditions, and these conditions also very important. Also quality control issues, because if you are working in an offsite, you don't have proper lab testing facilities, and if that has been tested site condition, that might be very different. So that also quality control issues are there. And then environment social standards, commercial risks, utility payment, currencies, and contract issues. If you are doing the contract in terms of EPC, maybe you are doing in a dollarized EPC for the foreign contractors, but dollar is not very very stable in terms of our country. Then project cost will differ by 20-30% due to the inflation itself. So also that need to be also taken care during the contract management issues of the hydropower itself. So these are some of the very important issues. For example, I'll go through every rigs, the nature of the work. If you are looking on some hydro sites, these are very snowy conditions. And if you are looking on some sort of other hydro conditions, there might be a lot of silt, not clear water, and then a lot of floods and that scenario. Particularly two intakes need to have a different construction strategy. You can't design the construction strategy similarly. So that also if you look on the geological side, it might be very different. If you compare with a tunnel in Pakistan, or if you compare the tunnel in Laos, there might be a lot of challenges, because our geology is pretty young. If you go to the other geologies, that might be very mature. So that the tunnel rate, whatever we are doing, maybe 20 meter, 30 meter per day, or maybe 5 meter per day. It depends on the locations. It depends on the geological conditions itself. So that also during the contract preparation, we need to understand, so that we need to keep in the mind that each hydro site is a different and unique. It is not the similar. People are talking hydro is, I'm the hydro expert. Sometimes I'm telling everybody that I'm not the hydro expert. I am a mechanical engineer who work in hydro. So that my definition is different as a professional. So each hydro site is different and unique. And then also there are very few identical things. I don't think there are a lot of things are similar. And then it needs also different planning and construction strategy. If you are doing different weather conditions, and then also everything need to be tailored. People are thinking that maybe I design the hydro in Nepal, then I can do in Pakistan. That doesn't apply. So that it need to be tailored. So that we need to have a local experts in terms of the contract management, or maybe the designing or implementations. We need to define the project tailored, but maybe that means site specific conditions. So that multi-million contract is high risks and rewards. If you are giving the multi-million contract to anybody, there might be a lot of challenges in terms of corruption, in terms of transparency, in terms of the contract design itself. So that sort of things also we need to understand. So you can't predict the work. So that it is a lot of challenge during there are unexpected conditions during the civil constructions. Material and working conditions are different. Cement specification might be different, or maybe the steel specification might be different. Expansion joint might be different. So there are a lot of sediment pattern is different in the every site and conditions. So that we need to take care of that risks during the contract preparation itself. And second, hydro project risks in terms of locations as well. So that locations means in hydro projects, these projects are remotely hilly and complex areas. So that the challenge to make the construction infrastructures, camp, communications, access to the road, equipments, electricity, water and sanitations, also that might have significant cost differences with different project itself. And then also the skilled manpower and foreign workers, if they are going to the such a remote locations, then there might be a lot of cost as well. One foreign engineers, if he's staying to the site, you know he needs to have a comprehensive like health and security issues. So that like we need to have some sort of construction risks, and also transportation challenges, because the weather condition is dry and rainy seasons, maybe rainy seasons all road will be blocked. Maybe we need to have a very small window to work on in terms of transportations as well. Also, like there is a lot of challenges in terms of construction site materials. People are thinking that it is in river, so we can collect everything from the river, but it is not true, because sand might be different, sand quality might be different, queries might be different. You need to make the quarries, crusher, sediment, cement batching plant, storage, testing labs. You need to establish in the remote site rather than in the cities areas. If you are constructing complex in the city, you can do the test. Where there are a lot of test labs in the city itself. But in the hydro site, you need to develop yourself rather than rather than going to the testing labs itself. And then there is a dam. Dam means there is a earth, rock, filters, lot of construction material need to be tested. So need to be quality investigations, so that like it also maintain the quality itself. So even like the project locations are remote, so that it is remote from the corporate office. If you need any approvals, it might take the time. So that as a project managers, you need to be very aware. While I was working as a project manager in Chilime site, so I used to do the all the approvals within prior month, because if any work I need to do on the sites, I need to do prior a month, so that I can work very smoothly. If you need any approval, then if delays by 2 days, that means project will be delayed by 2 days. So that need to be considered as a project managers. Also, you need to have some sort of project planning. Project planning means if plan A is not working, what is the plan B? Like I had a very bad experience during the hydropower management. I was a project manager. Then there was a some sort of labor strike a power plant itself. So that time particularly I had done some sort of plan B, because there was a some sort of 7 8 workers who wants to work. So that like plan A, plan B, plan C, that need to be implemented, so that we can deliver the work on time. So that sort of also strategy is required. If like corporate office is very far, then we need to also understand the approval communications. Right now the internet has given a significant room for us, but still we need to test that technology will work or not. So that is also limitation of the construction equipment. I know M16 not has been has delayed the project for 2 days, because it was not in the site. We need to take from the cities. So that sort of also storage planning, or maybe like some sort of the material planning is required during the construction itself. So construction equipment maintenance challenges, if any maintenance challenges is there, that means we need to have some sort of reliability based maintenance, rather than rather than breakdown maintenance. So that we need to do preventive as well as reliability based maintenance in the site itself, so that equipments manuals, equipments operation and maintenance manuals need to be taken care, and then that need to be delivered in the site itself. So that this is second challenge in terms of project locations for the any contract management. For example, I am giving you the corporate concrete production in the cities, just real estate construction. You can take a quotations from the ready mix, and then plan the construction and order the construction immediately. Second day you can do the concreting. But in the hydro side, first you have to investigate quarry and the prepare it. Second, design and make the access road to the quarry. Third, take the approval from the government and explosive. And fourth, you need to install the batch plant in the, as well as you need to have some sort of spare part if batch plant has any damages. Then you have to trial the test. You have to trial and test the either batch plant is working or not. Then you need the water treatment plant, because you need to also take the quality of the waters if you are making any concretes. So then you need to have a cement storage over there. Then only you can prepare for the concreting. So that means you can compare if you are doing any concreting in the city areas or concreting in the hydro site. Then people always believe on the bill of quantity. Then bill of quantity will not reflect that sort of cost factors. So that we need to consider all the things. Then cost in the cities and then cost in the hydro site is quite different, quite unique. So that even X hydro site will not be reflected in a Y hydro site. There will be significant cost differences. So that we need to also evaluate the detailed project report before any contract document preparations. So that are really reflected during the contract pieces or not. We need to understand that particular sort of things. Like also working environment is also another risk. So there is a heat and cold challenges, expensive equipment, and then changes in the keep and clean conditions, site conditions, also bad weathers and airliftings, access road problems, high seismic, if any earthquake came across during the construction, how to manage that sort of things. And construction window is pretty small in terms of site, winter, maybe snow, river diversion, maybe like other sort of you are working on the river, you need to manage as per the river flood conditions, river conditions, wet conditions. It depends, like where we are constructing. So that also another risk is working and environment conditions as well. Also, people like many people has taken that consideration in the project zoology. And in hydropower tunnel, like lots of surprises are coming on expected condition are coming on, and it is extremely difficult to plan the constructions equipments during the initial stage, and then challenge to predict the process, and also it depends on the productivity as well. So contractor is typically responsible for the initial supports, but still there are a lot of challenges during the construction time, and it will also give significant hit in terms of cost. So that there are a lot of dispute between owner as well as contractor. So that we need to understand either it is a real claim or it is some sort of fraud claim. So that also the responsibility of owner engineer is very critical to understand that sort of issues on the tunnel itself. So also there is a dewatering issues in the tunnel, drainage issues, protection and rock bolts, temporary excavations. There are also that sort of things, because during the initial feasibility reports, there has not have some sort of there have not have a certain investigation. These are uneducated site investigation who hits the project dispute during the contract management. If there is a no proper investigation, then X zoology has been ambitious, but like second zoology, maybe you will find a lot of surprises and cost overrun will go significantly different. So that sort of also understanding is required during the contract preparation. I will give the Chilime hydropower project example, 30 megawatt project. If you look on in the pictures itself, like if you look on the pictures, if you are looking in the pictures, there is a lot of cement work in front of the powerhouse, in the top of the powerhouse. That has not been ambitious during the initial project design itself, because during the powerhouse constructions, all the landslide come across. That means there is a significant cost differences. Also, there was a tunnel surprises. I will, guess on that initial, cost was estimated was around 8.5 billion Nepalese rupees, and then and then there was a unit cost was 283 million per megawatt, but really project at the completion stage 8.5 went to 15 billion rupees. That has around 512 million per megawatt. So that increased the 77% of the cost. So that if contractor has taken the EPC, that means contractor cannot complete the work itself. So there were a lot of dispute. Still, some of the payments has been deferral, and then everybody is claim each other. So that the key message from that case study I want to give you that there was no site proper investigations before doing the project. So that it is a public utility, NEA, Nepal Electricity Authority has implemented the projects, and project has been delayed by 10 years. You can imagine how much we have lost the opportunity cost in terms of project implementation itself. So that is somewhat we need to understand. The cases where there were a lot of cases. I can show you during the constructions. In the constructions, people were not thinking about the small tributary in the intake side, but suddenly due to the glove outburst, a lot of materials has been transferred to the intake side. Then it took around 1 year to clear all the sediment from the intake side, and then it has delayed river diversion and dam foundation excavations, and then also there was limited amount of concreting before the monsoon. Then upstream cofferdam has collapsed. Also, lot of remaining dam, peat, file, all of deposit has been coming to the intake side. The cumulative effect was 1 year at least, for the intake side preparations. So that there was a lot of claims from the contractor side. There is a cost prolongations and around 70 million for the clearance for the materials to the intake site itself. That means these sort of things has not been envisaged, but as a owner, as a project developers, sometimes also we need to take care about this sort of cost as well. This cost has not been forecasted during the EPC contract itself. So that these sort of things are happening in between. If you look on I have already showed you the powerhouse site. Previously we were thinking that we can only manage the sites, but later landslide has came across, then lot of cement work as well as concrete work has to be done by the contractor itself. Also, it has delayed by 25 months. That has around rupees 500 million US dollar has been 500 million rupees has been additional cost for the project itself. So that we can't predict during the initial time, but still we have to be aware about that sort of sensitivity during the contract preparation itself. And even on the tunnel side, there was a tunnel squeezing, and then design profile was different. Then there is a squeeze. Then we have to make the different strategy in between for the tunnel preparation itself. So that means the geological conditions are also differ in different hydro sites, so that we need to understand that sort of risks will coming across. The EPC contractors, people believe that they will deliver whatever came across, but certain times, certain costs, after cost inflations, they have also challenge to implement that sort of things during the project implementation. So as an owner, we need to think about the real cost. Also, we need, as a contractor, also we need to claim about the real cost as well. So that is somewhat the transparency is required in between. There are other issues, because also I don't I don't want to go details, but there are also project management unit, also authorities, also staffing plan. Also, these are not somewhat looking on the contract management itself. People believe that they will take the red book of the FIDIC contracts, they will take the yellow book of the FIDIC contracts, they will take the silver book of the yellow contracts. Also, they will follow different contract templates, but still the templates are not somewhat emphasis on that sort of risks, because you need to put the materials in terms of the contents from the the ground reality of the site itself. So that is very important for the contract preparation itself, so that like you can compare the cost component wise. One initial cost was there, then projected cost and real cost was 512, and then we thought that there is a 283 million rupees per megawatt. Then suddenly it went to 512 megawatt with a different cost differences in a different hydro projects sites. So that even for the road constructions, the cost escalation has been seen during the project implementation. Second risk is the project scheduling and interfaces. It is a great example for any project implementations. So I was the part of hydromechanical assessment team during the when I was working with Lamar, Germany. So initially, like during the contractor selections, I told the management that particularly contractor is not doing somewhat correct sort of things, because contractor were proposing the rolling of the pipe in India, then they will take the rolled pipe to the site. Then I that time particularly I had that sort of scheduling. I requested the management that still need to be carried into the site and then rolled into the site itself, rather than rolled pipe will be taken by the India. It will take a lot of time. But people that time didn't believe me. But later, like even transportation has been delayed a lot of time, still project has not been completed, and already 10-year delayed has been already seen. Maybe project will be commissioned very soon, maybe next 3-4 months, but still a lot of quality has been compromised during the the pipe quality itself, because they rolled the pipe in India and they're taking in a big trucks. That means these trucks are not capable to run in a isolated mountain roads, and then transportation time has been taken significantly deferral as per forecasted. For example, people were thinking initially one truck will go around 3 days to the site, but it has been taking around 10 to 20 days to reach to the site itself. So that has been hampered. So that river diversions we need to also think very practically, and then also construction window also we need to think very practically, because some of the sites you can work only, in fact only 3 to 4 months, because due to the seasonal harassment, seasonal sort of things. If there is a snow, then maybe like maybe less than maybe 0 degree, the cement quality will be different, or maybe our construction methodology need to be different. So that interface with other contractors is very important. Civil has completed work, but still is putting all the manpower in the site, because hydromechanical has not completed all the work. So that already civil has been claimed lot of cost overrun from the owner side, because their only 2% work has been remaining, but every they need to put all the project management team in the site. That means there is a cost, so that that need to be taken care. If electromechanical, it is a split contract. If it is not the EPC contract, then split contract has a lot of nuances in between, because civil will claim different sort of things, hydromechanical will claim different sort of things. Then like there is a interface issues between the different contractors. So that these are loss of revenue also is very important. If you are commissioning the project on time, or maybe 1 or 2 years, 2 years revenue will be lost, because 2 years the hydropower can give significant return to the owner itself. So that also we need to take in care from our examples as well. Also equipments wise, there is a lot of equipments in the site. because the growing site and install capacity of the units, also new role of the hydro imposing of extreme operations, also because hydro site are very extreme conditions, also frequent trips start up, because also if you are taking the construction power from the nearby substations, then there might be a lot of challenges of the tripping, power quality, and then also you need to use a lot of diesel unit has a lot of challenges, and also large range of operating conditions from the equipment suppliers, but still these are not really working on the sites. And then lot of challenges in terms of power verifications and others, as well as also there are sediment dynamics, also lot of things, equipments itself, and then climatic conditions also we need to understand, because every times people's I understand that they order the equipments in terms of water to wire guarantees, but either the turbine is performing or not. I will give you very small example of 9 megawatt plant when I was the electromechanical consultant that time. So we ordered the one runner from the China. Then we suddenly realized that power has been slightly down around, maybe it need to be delivered around 9 megawatt, but it's still 8 megawatt and more was not to be achieved. Then I did the laser scan of the runner, and then we found that there is a 10-degree deferral in the runner bucket itself. So that 10-degree deferral means there was a efficiency of around 15% has been compromised by the suppliers. Then Chinese suppliers told us that please do not send back to previous runner, I will make new runner. Then new runner came across, then suddenly 1 megawatt power has been suddenly increased. So that there are some also lot of challenges to verify the quality in terms of the equipment itself, the steel and other qualities of the hydromechanical equipment itself. So these risks need to be also tackled during the contract management. If we are giving the EPC contract or maybe electromechanical contract for the any suppliers, then there need to be some sort of training embedded on it, and training of the professional, training of the operators so need to be operated it, and also we need to seek some sort of performance guarantee from the suppliers, not only from the water to wire, also we need to guarantee the efficiency of the turbines, generators, and that sort of things also need to be verified very wisely. And so that there will be some sort of commissioning protocols we need to also understand. So that need to be also reflected in the contract documents. Otherwise, these contract documents will have a significant dispute between the suppliers and the owner itself in the later on. Also, the performance and productivity about the labors, and also training is required. So nobody is focusing on the training side of the electromechanical or EPC contractors trainings. So during the contract preparations, also it is essential to give the labor trainings or training requirements for the contractor itself. Also, they need to allocate that trainings in the budget itself, so that that training methodology need to be taken care in the contract preparation of the contract documents itself. Also, the productivity means the equipment productivity itself. So also, we need to also put some sort of clauses for the productivity of the equipments, what sort of equipments contractor will utilize. That sort of things also we need to, also put on the contract documents. And condition effect of the productivity of the plant. There are many issues site road condition, weather conditions, soil conditions, and ground conditions, and other rock, soil, groundwater. Lot of conditions need. Also, that also gives the productivity in terms of the construction's time itself. So that deferral in every sites, it is not unique. It is different in different sites. So we need to also maintain that sort of contract methodology during, and quality control issues. And also it is also somewhat in the contract documents. Also, it's very important to put and look on these issues in terms of hydro risks, so that geological risks, material produced on the site, what sort of testing is required, what is the quality challenges over the site, maybe you are envisage some sort of the cement, maybe cement grading has need to be changed during the construction time. And then also site conditions, how difficult it site is, also the cleanness of the site, also maybe we need to also admit the, also we need to maintain the environment and social regulation in the site itself. So it is also there are a lot of suppliers, widely disparate suppliers can lead the qualities issues. If you are looking always in the low cost, that means also there will be the significant quality compromise. And then also if lesser quality control issues, then it might delay the project itself. So also quality issue is very important. And then also there are, because right now if you are looking for German consultant, but they are putting the local peoples as a owner engineers, or maybe other engineers they are helping from the contractor side, or maybe the consultant side. Also maybe some of the peoples they do have a lack of industry experience, because they don't have much experience, so they are compromising the quality itself. Also we need to understand that sort of issues. Also commercial pressure reducing the supervising level, because the management is looking for some sort of progress of 20% on a month, or maybe progress of 5% on a month. Then there is a lot of commercial pressure from the owner itself. But if we give a lot of pressure, then also we are compromising the quality itself. So that quality and work progress are very dependent. So also we need to look on that sort of risks during the hydropower construction itself. So environment and socials, I will not go much, but also it is a noise, vibration, high traffic management. Also it will create a lot of problem for the local people, social problems, maybe also communities, as well as the worker camp interface. How to manage that sort of interface is very important. If there is some sort of dispute between contractor as well as locals, the project can be delayed by years. In last week I found one hydro site in Nepal that local has beaten the project manager and is significantly hurt. He has been evacuated to the Kathmandu hospital itself from the site. That dispute has already started, and then already 1 month delay in the project itself. So that sort of also environment and social challenges during the hydro site, because hydro construction, you are generating one another village in the social site itself. Also social management is pretty critical in terms of and then country risks, work permit, licenses, local regulations, imports, national contract conditions, language challenges. I already talked about national law, arbitration, corruptions. These sort of things also is delaying the process. Also we need to take and consider, if we are preparing the contracts, so we need to put all the possible risks in the contract document itself, so that there will be some sort of transparent and ethical contracts of the hydro power implementation itself. So also there are EPC issues as well. And also that has been majorly seen in different hydro projects. I will explain some of the cases later on. Then bidding cost and time, very expensive, and then time consuming to bid due to the design requirement and need to form cost. Typical EPC tender cost, from bidder side, 1 million US dollar is required. If you are bidding, if you are not getting the work, but you are bidding, then you are spending significant of money. Then EPC bidder are always thinking that either I will get or not. If I am not getting, I am losing the money. So that tendency of EPC bidder is always either I need to bid or not. So that quality bidder, they will always selective. They will not bid any projects. So if they are selective, if quality peoples are not coming, then as a owner's responsibility, how to invite them to give the confidence that either you will get the work, and then evaluation process will be transparent. That sort of also EPC taking the bid from the very serious and experienced bidders, we need to have a certain cost, for the typical EPC tender cost. So that need to be also tackled very smartly. I mean, like, how to, put, how to get, lot of best EPC contracts. Also, there are JV issues, because JV is always tricky. Local, contractors, they are not capable. International contractors, they are very capable. Sometimes JV, diluted the, quality of the work, and then also workmanship in terms of EPC contractors. So, parties do not understand each other's business, and then also there will be the JV disputes also, and then that also hits the, project itself. So that also we need to be very, transparent in terms of JV partnerships. And then typically, JV civil lead the contractor, often on experience in the coordinating with other parties. Smaller parties are unable to share the JV rates. So that sort of, contract management should also need to be understand. Also, lack of warranted informations and contract often modified to the load risks on the EPC contractor. So that, like, always that need to be also taken considered. So that, like, we need to also evaluate the some sort of the opportunity cost for the, contractor itself. There are commercial risks. If there is a delay, then, like, exchange rate, I already told you, then cost escalation, labor cost, and taxation and duties. Also, industrial actions, force measures events, like, earthquake or, landslide, work permit. And then standard contract form are not highly modified, because standard contract form always, like, if you are taking the FIDIC contracts of, for example, red book, then red book is some sort of, guiding principles. If you are changing a lot of, principle sort of things, and then you are telling that I'm using the red book, that doesn't, reflect the FIDIC fundamentals. So that, like, that need to be also taken care, and uncertainty of the interpretation of lack of precedence need to be also taken care during the contract preparation itself. So management of the construction risks, how to manage, even I highlighted all the risks right now. So that any risks in hydropower, we need to have a thorough project preparations. So without this, we can't, we can't manage. And then effective shortlisting and pre-qualification. And during the pre-qualification documents, we need to put all the risks matrix, all the risks, sort of with, with the pre-qualification documents. And there need to be very effective shortlisting process and clear bidding criteria. For example, I was telling on the Upper Tamakosi bidding criteria, then contractor need to be taken the steel to the side and roll in the side. Either these people are not, like, guided by the construction methodology in the bidding criteria. So that has delayed the process itself. So that during the contract preparation, we need to have a clear bidding, which sort of equipment they need to use, which sort of welding methodology they will use, which sort of, construction methodology, which sort of, manpower they need to use. So that sort of clear bidding criteria need to be, and then transparent procurement, procurement need to be carried out. Always low cost is not the solution. Though there is a technical evaluations, people always mislead between the cost and qualities. So that if you are giving the, on experienced contractors, and project will be delayed by maybe 1 or 2 years, that means 2 years revenue you are losing. That means 2 years revenue if you are losing, why not you spend maybe 1 year revenue initial stage for the, higher cost for the quality contractors. So that mind, because always our part of the world, we are looking for the cost comparison, but cost comparison always is very complicated, and it is not somewhat reflected to the, clear and transparent procurement policies and fair risk allocation. And there will be some sort of fair risk allocation between contractor and owner. and then there should be the understanding of the, the payment of exact work you are doing. So that sort of also active construction management is required. And during the construction management, during the constructions, you need to have a lot of review in between. Weekly reviews, daily reviews, and monthly reviews need to be carried out between contractor as well as, and the owner or owner engineers, so that, like, role and responsibility need to be taken care. And then there will be the some sort of impartial contract administration is required, rather than, always passing the cost to each other, either, owner or maybe contractor. So that always we need to look on that sort of thing. And form projection of the preparation for adequate site investigations, because EPC contracts you are giving, then contractor need to be visited to the site. They need to investigate. They need to, they need to carry out all the work, understand and engineers out projects risks, and then development the engineering concept adequate for the tenders, different for the EPC and remeasurable, so that, like, also we and communicate owners requirement, data side, project risks and tenders and stakeholders for the contract preparation itself, so that there will be the effective shortlisting. Keep shortlisted, short 3 to 5. Don't mix low cost with the premium quality bidders, so that is and check the credit. If bidders is putting a lot of data, every contractor claim they have built the hydropower in Nepal, because I found some of the Chinese contractors, because they bid it in China, they bid it in Africa, and then African one, one of my friend was asking me, Bhishma, can you evaluate that these are claiming that I'm doing EPC contract for Nepal, but these peoples were only the electromechanical supplier. These were not somewhat the EPC contractors. So that sort of claiming, we need to investigate their claim itself. So either these peoples are truth or not. Also, check the validity of whatever document they have put it on the contract documents. So we need to evaluate. Don't forget the poor performance. If they are doing a lot of poor performance across different projects, we need to also take care of that during the evaluation itself. So that transparent procurement, do not expect the competitive bids if process is not perceived to be the transparent and fair. So that also, like, because whatever written in the document or written document, we need to validate it. And then also transparent procurement policy need to be carried out with any organization to do the the clear bidding and clear bidding criteria and clear adjudication criteria, make easy for the bidders, clearly define the requirement, room for the innovation and value engineering, and then bonds and security cost is the money, because people are thinking that they have security has been given, so that contractor do anything, I will take the money later on. That doesn't mean anything. So that securities, bonds, if they are putting in the banks, that means also there is a cost. So that this cost has been also, cost always go to the owners. So that we need to think about the smart, procurement systems. So rather than putting the cost to the contractors, and then he is indirectly passing this cost to the owner itself with any time, because contractor is there for the money. So that money always comes from the owner side, or maybe so that need to be also understand, because sometimes owner is telling that, oh, I am in a very cheaper cost, but indirectly cost has been transferred to the owner itself, in terms of quality of the work, in terms of the operation of the cost, in terms of operation maintenance of the project itself, if it is not doing the quality work itself. So there are few risk allocations methodology, like risk cost money, paying to the contractor carry out the risk is unlikely to be economic. So that risk cost is the money, because any risk contractor is taking, if you are passing the risk to the contractor, that means he is putting the cost to the owner itself. So also bond securities, penalties, every is a cost and money. And then making the contractor carry risk crystallization, the cost contract awards, then it is also cost. Active construction management is engineer or owner representative need to be actively manage the contract, and degree of intervention need to be matched the contractor capabilities. It is not only the contractor side, also it is the owner side. Also, we need to look on the owner engineer quality, either like owner engineer is capable to do the wise decision during the project implementation or not. Also, our part of the old I found, because while I was working with European construction, 2 3 European construction, I found that there are a lot of sophisticated software they are using in the documentation, construction management, and the project management, and then that tools also enables the evaluation of the progress during the construction management itself, so that these softwares need to be taken care, and then also it need to be documented during the contract preparations or contract documents itself. If necessary, arrange the training to the contractors and its personnel, so that project will be implemented very soon, and then we'll gain the opportunity cost itself. So that also from owner side, I recommend that, like, if you found a lot of improvement areas, it is wise to give the training to the contractor itself. So we have done a lot of training for the contractors during the project implementation itself. This is also and then also it is not the fight, because impartial contract management is not the fight. Payment should be made in a time, so when it is a due, milestone date should be achievable, so that we need to make the achievable milestones, and quality and performance expectations should be accordance with the contract, and then arbitrarily imposed. The interface should be managed fairly, because if they are managing the site with a lot of delays due to the owners, so we need to pay them. So claims should be settled fairly, avoiding any litigations. So that sort of also impartial contract need to be taken care. For example, I'm giving you some example from the IFC side. I'm taking out the name. 161 megawatt project we financed. The cost overrun was 62%. Because the major geological issues, rock blasting and fatal accident leading to the tunnel work. There was an accident that has also heated a lot of things, and then also underground powerhouse stability issues, and then we have to have a lot of cost overrun during the project implementation. As a lender, as a bankers, also we have given significant leverage for the for the owner as well as contractor during that construction itself. Another 155 megawatt and 158 megawatt, there was a cost overrun of 119%. That is huge. Key ratio was geological. If you look, geological challenges, swelling collapse, tunnel collapse, repair maintenance, and insurance costs. Everything has been coming on from the hydro side. 82 megawatt IFC was prepared. The key issue was extreme project delays due to the slow tunnel boring machine TBM progress. And even the main modern technology cannot achieve with a TBM. So that there was some sort of, and 192 megawatt overrun is 115%. It is also geology. 250 megawatt cost overrun was only 10%, no tunnel. You can see if there is a no tunnel, then 10%. Key issues was cost increase and delay due to the difference in the actual underground geological condition or dam foundation. Dam foundation has been different, and then cost increase due to the indifference ground condition was passed through the item in the PPA. Some countries they don't acknowledge. And then 39 megawatt cost overrun was 20%. No tunneling work, no single EPC contract, because it's sponsored, because there is some sort of civil contractor as well as hydromechanical contractor has a lot of issues, and then there is a some sort of dispute as well. So that we need to understand that our geology or our our mountains need to be understand, because these are the young mountains. So we need to understand these young mountains do have a lot of challenges. so that cost overrun is there. Then key message I want to pass you from that experience is the contingency cost. Contingency cost. Second one is the investigations. So these two parameters can mitigate a lot of challenges. And then what sort of quality of detailed project report has been made, that need to be also understood during the time. Then key takeaway from that sort of things is each hydro is different, and cost overrun risks are more pronounced for the hydropower, so that with significant underground geological work, and do not the hydro structures tunnels do not carry similar risks. Where significant underground work are required, critical perform the geological through the evaluation and project design, but one can take full under comfort conditions, be ready to face the unexpected challenges during the project implementations. So that also we need to understand. Also, project sites are very remote. Also, we need to understand the road condition and construction time, and do not guided by the low cost bid. Do not expect fully wrapped EPC contract. It is unlikely that EPC contractor would take full geological risks, and it could be the transfer to the EPC contractor at the premium EPC price. If we are transferring all the risks to the contractor, then it is a cost. It is not somewhat he is taking free. So we need to understand, as borne by IFC own experience, be conservative in the sizing, and then especially for the hydro sites, it's the underground work. For higher risk projects, IFC likely uncapped sponsor support. So we are giving the necessary is stakeholder who understand the risks, contractor and consultant experience in hydropower. We need to put these sort of people and procurement methodology in the basis of the best value, not lowest cost. Common standard system, procedure, and document and software need to be carried out during the time. Contingency sizing should be amounted for the increased hard cost, civil cost, and build the caution required in the commercial operation date in the PPA concession, and try to secure the flexibility in the PPA and concession COD extensions, because COD date might be varied because a lot of the uncertainty. And any contract, I want to remind you that any contract need to be very transparent and ethical. It is not the fight between owner and contractors. Any contract should have very clear objective. It should be win-win situation for the both parties, and then we need to share the respect between the contractor as well as the owner, and then compensate the work performance whoever work has been done. So that is somewhat the thinking is. Thank you very much. So I have covered my presentations. If any questions, further questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you very much. So we'll go to
Yes, Mr. Bishma. Yes.
Yeah.
If anybody has questions, please share on the chat box. That would be excellent. Mr. Pandit, we don't allow people, to ask questions via voice. So basically, it's more, the questions are more on through chat. So I'll ask those questions. अपने व्यूज क्वेश्चंस प्लीज चैट बॉक्स में हमें कर दें, या फिर नेस्पा इसी पे ही जूम के चैट बॉक्स में. तो Fahad Sajjad sab, if you have a question, please ask through the chat box. I'm sorry. मैं कर ठीक है. Okay. Fatab, please unmute yourself and ask the question. I've asked you to unmute. Ji Fatab, your question? Anybody has a question, please share them. ये क्या हुआ है? I think people are still processing the loads of information you shared with them. So, and it's a technical thing, so it does take time for someone, to.
Yeah, this sort of trainings is somewhat very important in terms of face-to-face trainings, because there is a long session, tea sessions, so we can interact,
Yeah.
and then we can pass lot of
definitely we would love to have
cases
you.
in between.
We would love to have you again, and it was excellent, and we would love to. And I know that you're coming hopefully in May. Yes, my colleague is telling me that you have. We are confirming, already confirmed the time. We are. I think.
Yeah, I got one question: how to avoid the cost overrun and major factors, please? Okay. Thank you, Mirzaji, because thank you for your questions. It's the cost overrun. There are basically, in the two stages, for the minimization of the cost. One is investigations, because people are thinking that detailed project report is a cost. As an owner, if you are making the feasibility report, because you need to do a lot of investigations. For example, drilling. How many drillings you need to do? Because our zoology is different. If you are doing only 5, drillings in terms of tunnel, around, maybe 10-kilometer tunnel you have, maybe 5-kilometer tunnel, only you are drilling 1 kilometer each. That means there will be the significant differences in the in between 1 kilometer in terms of zoology differences, because our zoology is young. Then, if you are drilling 20, then people think that it is cost. Then owner said, why only you can do 10? So we will just tell them that you can do the 10 drillings for the investigation on the feasibility reports. Then I'm taking the drilling examples, or maybe sand test, maybe stone test. Maybe that sort of testings, people always compromise, because please do 1 or 2. We don't need much. So that reflects in the project cost. If you are not doing proper investigation during the feasibility report, that goes to the construction delays, that goes to the cost overrun. So that one methodology is do the investigations in terms of cost overrun. And then second avoidance is project management. Project management is also during the a lot of surprises, how to decide quickly to go for the alternate routes. For example, there is a tunnel has been collapsed. Either that collapse need to be maintained, or we need to take the different route for the tunneling process itself. So also during the project management, quick decisions in terms of consultant or in terms of investigation is required during the during the time itself. Also, second one is the project management. Third one is the tool and equipments, what sort of mitigation measures you will do during the project implementation itself. So also that is very important. And next one is the also you need to select the very experienced the contractors who has worked across that domain, like the peoples maybe who are working in China, that might not be very feasible to work in Pakistan. Then where are the their capacity, who are the peoples they are working with, also that need to be identified during the project awarding or contract awarding. So that need to be also understand during the project implementation itself. Also, third one is the also we need to understand the site, because during the EPC time also we need to bind all the EPC contractor to visit the site, so that they will reflect proper contract document during the bidding process itself, so that there will be some sort of miscommunication between owner as well as the contractor, and contractor will understand the physical scenario of the site. Also that allows the the bidder or maybe the contractor to execute the projects in terms of good management itself. So these are the some sort of major factors during the project implementations. Even even the project selections, the cost was 20% below, but my experience is given to the another party due to the experience in the same locations, because he was doing the EPC contract just above the just upstream to the downstream project itself. So that also we need to understand that the peoples who are working in the site might be helpful for the other contractor itself. So that is somewhat my thinking is. Also, Azmal Saab, so your question is basically during the evaluation claim, how to evaluate the overhead and then profit of the contractor itself. So it's a very tricky questions. I mean, like how to the evaluation of the claim, because if you are doing the EPC, EPC bidding, so there are two method of payments. One is quantity based payment, one is milestone based payment. There are two payment methodologies. And then during the evaluations also we need to look on the design itself, and then also we need to look on the quantity itself, and then also we need to understand the what exactly the cost has been envisaged in the contract document itself. So that these three parameters also give you the clear vision that either the contractor has claiming proper claim or they are not. So that the sometimes the milestone based payment are little bit challenging, because they said that I have completed that sort of activities. Maybe there are quality compromise during the milestone, or quantity based evaluations sometimes lead a lot of dispute, because quantity has been claimed differently as per the original design. So that maybe there is some sort of understanding between contractor as well as the owner, so that evaluation criteria need to have a form thought owner engineers as well as also the third party evaluators later on if any disputes. So there is some sort of adjudications between contractor, third party, and then owner. Then if any dispute, you can resolve immediately with a third party verifications as well. So that sort of methodology is required during the project implementations, and there are some sort of guidance on the the claims and disputes from the FIDIC contract management. Maybe hopefully you are aware about the FIDIC contract templates with red book, yellow book, silver books. Also these contracts templates has been given significantly significantly guidance in terms of the claim and disputes on the and the profit of the contractors. It depends. If you are passing a lot of risks to the contractors for the geological risks, then like they are charging significant premium cost for the risks itself. So if you are not transferring that sort of risks to the contractors for the EPC one, then like the profit margin, you can ask the contractor to be very low, because it depends on the risk profile, and risk is the cost. We need to understand whatever risk we are transferring to the contractor, that is the cost of the contractor itself. So this is somewhat my thinking is. And the profit, I can't say like how much profit they require. If foreign contractor is coming on, and they are thinking a rate of return of at least around 10 to 15% dollar return from their work, so that without these dollar rigs, they will not come. And then like they are looking for that sort of profit, at least from the dollarize. And then it depends like how to compromise, and then what sort of work they are doing. If same countries, same river basins, if same contractor is working, then they might go for as low as 6-7% profit in terms of their thinking as well. So it depends on the work, it depends on their workload capacities, and then also they're looking for some sort of decreasing the overhead cost in terms of their project management unit wherever they are staying on. So that is also somewhat understanding is what type contracts are most appropriate. Okay, so that is very good questions. As for FIDIC contracts, it depends. There are two types of contract. It is one is split, one is EPC. So the EPC contract, if owner is not very capable to do the contract management, or if he don't have proper technical capacities of, or if he don't have proper owner engineers, then it's better to go for the EPC contract, because EPC contract will deliver the work with unexperienced developer. If developer is very experienced, and then they are capable to do a lot of projects already, they do have a technical capacity, and they do have a firm owner engineers. Maybe they can hire maybe most experienced consultant like Multiconsult, maybe Stocky, that sort of Swiss maybe contractors. Then like if they have that sort of consultant, then they can go for split contract. Split contract is not passing the risks to the risks to the contractor itself, because these are the splitted one, and then all risk is coming to the owner. Then it seems the very cheap one, but sometimes it hits, because if you don't have a proper interface between two contractors, one contractor can claim a lot of cost overrun itself due to the other contractor is not finishing finishing the work. So that it is a contract strategy. As per my understanding, if you have a firm owner engineer, the owner is very capable technically, they do have a proper technical team, then also it might be go for split contract for the cheaper project implementations. If the contractor, if owner is not experienced, then it might be the EPC contract. But like a lot of lenders, they look for the EPC contract because cost has been defined initially. Like a lot of foreign lenders, they require the EPC contract. So EPC means the lenders already knows the cost, so that they feel very comfortable in terms of project financing. So that that sort of, there are a lot of dynamics, but it's still in the nutshell, I'll say experienced developers may be thinking on split contracts with a lot of precaution with a firm owner engineers. If unexperienced developer, then go for the EPC contracts. So that sort of things. If EPC is we are taking the EPC contract, then it need to be followed by the FIDIC contract templates. So that will be very very good. If any split contracts, then red book, yellow book, and silver book will be very useful for the that sort of FIDIC contract mechanisms. So that is somewhat my understanding is. And then how much we allocate as a part of contingency charges. Okay. So, generally people are taking, 5-10% contingency or even 15% contingency, but I'm not very keen on the percentage. I'm very keen on the investigations, what exactly they did in the initial time, what is the quality of the feasibility reports, who has done the feasibility reports, what are the investigations they did during the feasibility reports, and then what sort of geology is there, and then where is the project locations, and remoteness of the project locations, social and environmental issues, that sort of need to be taken care, because a lot of projects developers are failing because of the cash flow management, because they are thinking that I will complete the project with this much money, but cost overrun went to 119% extra. That means there are a lot of if 119% delays, then how much contingency I can ask? That is a lot of that is the challenge. So I'm thinking that I'll not say that not sell it is a percentage, but it depends on the locations, it depends on the tunneling tunneling natures, it depends on the the complexity of the tunnel, and then head of the hydropower, because vertical shafts are very critical, and then pressure of the, because in the Istoki, in the Switzerland itself, there is a rapture of penstock of around 1500 to 1800 megawatt projects. So that sort of things will coming across, so that contingency, it depends on the quality of the feasibilities, and then also what sort of locations you are making on. So we need to depend on 15, 20%, 5%. It depends. So I cannot surely share about that sort of things. What do you suggest in include the quality factor evaluation criteria for the evaluating works by bidding contractors? Maybe quality factors of the evaluation criteria is the one is workmanship. Workmanship is always in the the peoples who are mobilizing during the contractors. So that one is technical capacity. Second one is the equipments, what sort of equipments and technology they are bringing on the constructions, because they are open, either they are using the TBM machine or traditional blasting methods for the tunnel. So that it depends, what sort of technology they are coming on, and then what sort of project planning they are doing during the project implementations, and then also the what sort of engineering they are applying on for the project implementation. So also the engineering evaluation is pretty critical. That also gives some sort of sense that how managing and project scheduling. Project scheduling is pretty important, where they are starting the project, what are how many tunnel access tunnel they are thinking on, how they are going to implement, how much progress they want to do, that sort of things also we need to look on. And then what is their past experience in terms of that particular geology? That is also very important for the evaluation criteria of the any bidder of the contractor itself. And also, as per your presentation, we should focus on quality instead of low bid from any bidder. So what you suggest to change the bidding document so that we can avoid this type of scenario? Yes, thank you very much. So it's a very smart questions, because yes, I always believe on the quality of the work, and then also the experience of the contractors. Experience is always the key factors. Then maybe cost, if you look on, if any 100 megawatt hydro site, if it delays by 3 years, 3 years revenue, if you count, it is a significant money. So that significant money. So that if you are going for the quality, you need to change the bidding documents in terms of technical evaluation criteria. You can put a lot of marks on the technical side, and then financial side need to be lower down, financial side to be lower down. And then if you are doing the evaluations, also evaluator need to be very experienced, so that who will be the evaluator of the document itself. You need proper technical team. Also, the as a owner, if I am developing any hydro, then as a owner, because IFC is a owner of different hydros, because we have a 20% equity, 15% equity, 20% equity. In that particular evaluations, I am always asking the a lot of FIDIC contract evaluators as experts. So I am taking them on the evaluation team. For example, last time I hired the Stephen Jeru from the FIDIC adjudications for one evaluations, because as an expert, because it is a team of experts who is evaluating. So that your evaluation team need to be very proper, and then engineered, and then experienced. It gives you the significant room of thinking to give the proper contract to the proper peoples, so that investing on the evaluation is also one key investment during the project implementation itself. So that is my understanding from the evaluation criteria. So cost overrun in some cases may not be avoid such rock planning stage. During the executions, rock features will be different, inviting variation. Can we avoid this? Yes, sometimes we will not be able to avoid some of the cost overrun scenarios that need to be acknowledged, but the evaluation criteria need to be proper, and then also evaluation need to be very transparent, so that I already told you that whatever work has been done, that need to be paid very wisely. So that is my my summary. But still, some of the cases there are dispute and adjudications is required, but third party variations and common understanding between contractor and owner is very essential in terms of and then if there is always human tendency that if you are giving 10%, then they were seeking for 15%, and if you are giving 15%, then they are seeking for 20% additional cost. That need to be taken care, so that it is not 20% or 15%. We need to evaluate how much additional work they have done. That need to be paid very wisely. That is my in the summary. But evaluation of how much additional work these people has done during the implementation, that need to be calculated, and that need to be on the basis of very experienced team, so that owner engineer team need to be very firm and required during the project implementation itself. Click below. Okay, COVID force measures or not. Okay, that is very interesting questions. Also we launched a lot of things on the COVID. Yes, COVID is a force measures in some of the contract itself. It is written that pandemic scenario as well as harsh geological and earthquake scenarios, seismic scenarios. If it is a pandemic scenarios has been force measure clause has been acknowledged to the contract documents. Yes, it is a force measure clause, because some of the sites people are not able to access the raw materials to execute the site itself. So that is the truth. So we need to understand that is truth. In that truth, contractor cannot implement without any raw materials. So that is the truth. So we need to also acknowledge that truth, so that it is a force measures that doesn't mean that also there are a lot of dispute is going on in between with the legal team, that either the pandemic is the COVID pandemic is purportedly pandemic is because there has written SARS and COVID is different. Then some of the contract document already it has been written SARS, but COVID has not been written. But some of the peoples are very smart. They have written that virus pandemics. That virus pandemic is COVID pandemic. So that some contracts already IFC we are facing have COVID scenarios are there. then like, there are a lot of force majeure clause has been already achieved. So a lot of dispute has been going on, but still, some of the cases we resolved very wisely in terms of, work dispute for the contractor itself. Some are the physical, progress, some are the, some sort of progress heated by the supply chain of the, manpower as well as materials. So that has been also taken care. Yes. So that like, project priorities sequence, that is contractor and, yeah, contractor and, the owner, that need to be transparent, discuss timely matters, like, and some delays need to be acknowledged by the owner itself also. Yeah, that is. How important is the environment and social resettlement aspect in the bidding? How land acquisition cost to be calculated extent possible, as it may be increased during the construction phase? How bidder will be catered? Okay, it is a responsibility of owner, because if you are passing that sort of, the resettlement issues to the contractor, that is not here, because all the resettlement need to be carried out by the owner itself. So that if like, there are a lot of dispute between, contractor as well as the, owner, because being a IFC, we follow the IFC performance standards in terms of resettlement issues. And then because it needs some sort of, form prior work before the project going for the constructions. So prior work means there is need to be the commitment from the local peoples, and then also it is a two-way communication between the owner as well as the local peoples as well as the contractors. So there need to be some sort of, some sort of social mechanisms to interact with the communities, and then also contractor need to taken care a lot of social interface in their, construction domain, so that it need to have some sort of systematic approach to change out the construction areas, and then there need to be some sort of construction restrictions in terms of, community interface between construction area as well as community. Because I found one of the Chinese guy went to the, one of our construction site communities, and then, there is a case of the Chinese guy as well as, local lady. So that sort of, interface has heated the project for 1 year, so delayed by 1 year. So that, that sort of if the community has, unrest, and then, contractor cannot be mobilized, that sort of scenarios, the contractor will be, given significant, the cost for the, social side. So yes, I think the resettlement issues need to be tackled, and then also it need to be reflected in the contract document, so that, like, later dispute will be accounted as per the contract document itself. So that need to be, clearly mentioned in the contract documents in terms of ENS issues as well.
Mr. Pandit, I think these were the last of the questions, and we've taken so much of your time, and thank you for sharing your expertise and experience and everything with us, and hope to see you in May. Any last words? Thank you all for joining. Sir, last word, closing, any closing remarks for NESPAC, Mr. Pandit?
So thank you very much. Like, maybe 2 hours, I can't share, a lot of things, but still it is some sort of, high level, high level presentations. So, I tried to pull out some of the our experience, as well as also, high level thinking, what exactly hydro is. It is not like, maybe a lot of participants, they do have a much experience rather than me, because they do have implemented a lot of projects, but I tried my best to cater, a lot of cases in the presentations. So I love to share my experience in the emails if you people has other questions. So I would like to thank NESPAC to inviting me for a, such a wonderful platform. Thank you very much. I want to thank you, Sabika, for her continuous follow up
Yes,
presentations, every sort of things. She is the instrumental for pulling
absolutely.
me on
She
the
brings
this.
people in, and she was there, and the way she finds, even though with not that much of an engineering background, she's a management background, just like the HR people. But she's thankfully finding people from all around the world, and especially expertise in their fields. I was hoping that our head of geotechnical was online, but I think he's having issues with his internet connection. I was hoping for you to touch base. He is heading the Bhasha Dam and the Mehman Dam of Pakistan. That division is right now the consultants on behalf of NESPA. But I think they are having some issues with internet. Sir, thank you. Hope to see you in May again, and hope to hopefully this when this COVID thing is over, you visit Pakistan, be our guest in Pakistan, and we'll take you to our northern areas, which are more, and hopefully we'll be there in Nepal sometime. Nespak would be there, and we'll see the majesty of the Mount Everest and of the Himalayas. Thank
Yeah,
you, sir.
also I'll if you are in Nepal, I'll try my best to take you some of the hydro site so that
Oh,
also
yes,
you will
absolutely.
understand.
Same here, same
Yeah,
here. Will also be
yeah,
true. Thank you,
yeah.
sir. Thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you, thank you.
Take care. Take
Salam
care.
alaikum, everybody. Thank you,
Bye bye.
thank you.
Allah Hafiz. Thank you. शुक्रिया सबका और see you all in the next session जो इंशाल्लाह मार्च के अंदर होगा. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.